Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you for taking your time to watch this. Hoping to keep this under 20 minutes. Hopefully I pique your interest and we can talk one-on-one later. It's a day after Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. My son is actually in the other room trying to get me to play with all of his toys with him. Got him Beyblades, which he loves. I like them too. They're actually pretty fun. But had to sneak away real quick. I wanted to make this video for you guys, so I'm going to try to stay on track. I've got my note cards here. Hopefully this will take just about 20 minutes. And I'm going to attack the 401ks. I believe 401ks are garbage and one of the biggest scams out there for the middle class and for people that truly want to retire and don't think they'll ever get out of the rat race. So first and foremost, I want to start with ignorance is not bliss. What you don't know will hurt you, especially when it comes to your finances. There's so much to know out there that if you don't know it, it can actually hurt you and you will literally work until you die. Unfortunately, we're seeing that quite a bit with retirees and senior citizens trying to retire. They retired for a couple of years and then they end up back in the workforce, working at Walmart, working at McDonald's, just doing something to bring in a little bit of money because their Social Security and their retirement isn't enough for them to live on. So that's why I kind of feel pretty strongly about this. I'm glad I learned this because I was doing the same thing. I was putting money into my 401k. I had no idea where it was going. The company was giving me money to do it. Hey, of course I'm going to do it. So first thing I want to hit on is why companies don't offer pension plans anymore. So very basic explanation. A company says, hey, Tyler, you come work for me for 35 years and I'll continue to pay you a certain percentage of your paycheck until the day you die. Great. Hey, I'll come work for you if you keep paying me and I don't have to clock in after 35 years. And that's what people did. So some reasons they got rid of it. There are a few companies that still offer them. Okay. It's not completely gone. It's just very rare that companies will actually offer them. One thing they got rid of them for was they were too risky, meaning the employer was taking all the risk to fund the employee's retirement. If the market, basically they were taking a chunk of money and they were putting it in the market. And if the market didn't do very well, guess what? That company's taking all the risk. It could actually go bankrupt. Excuse me. I'm doing this video on one take. So if you see me look away, look down, burp, whatever, I'm human. That's what this is about. So, yeah, next part, yeah, like I said, they'll go bankrupt. They could go bankrupt. And I'm sure there's quite a few that went out there. I probably should have looked it up, but I didn't. But then the next part, which I thought was actually a pretty big deal, is large corporations actually lobbied to Congress to get rid of pension plans. So they went to the government and told them, hey, we need you to do something to get rid of this because it's hurting us. Yes, it was benefiting the employer or the employee and every average Joe out there working, but it was hurting the corporations, which we can't have that or else people won't have jobs. So that's kind of where the 401k came in, where it put the dependence on the employee to actually fund their own retirements. And the government actually gave corporations tax breaks for offering a 401k. So that's the next part I want to jump into is who actually benefits from a 401k. So an employee can, yes, they can benefit from it. Yes, you get a lot of employers will match up to a certain point or up to a certain dollar every year, which that helps. Okay, they essentially get double the amount of money you're getting for your retirement. But that we can get into that in a minute. Who it really benefits, it's really going to benefit your employer because first and foremost, it helps with recruiting. So, hey, John, I will give you a 401k compared to company A, B, and C. They don't offer a 401k. They don't care about your retirement. We do, so come work for us. Of course, majority of people are going to say, yeah, I'm going to go to the people that are going to offer me a 401k compared to the company that does not. Okay, there are companies out there that don't do it. Not every company is the same. So Um, Next point is for the employer, all their overhead, their admin costs, and any match contributions is a tax write-off, meaning they don't pay taxes on it, makes it look like they make less money per year. So of course they're going to do that. Of course they're going to, because the less money that they have to the government, the more tax write-offs they have, it looks like their income is lower, therefore they lower their tax bracket as much as they can. Corporate America is all about lowering their taxes as much as they can. Okay. The lower their taxes, the better they are as a business. This also, it's actually, your 401k actually benefits the investment firms because we'll get into this too. Also, a point I'm going to talk about is the fees. In your fees is up to 17, it could be 17 or more hidden fees, and a bunch of those are coming from pretty much all of them are coming from the investment company on different things so that they can get paid. Okay, they got to make money somehow. Essentially, you're just taking your money and you're giving it to them, and they're doing whatever they want with it. They're making a paycheck over and over and over and over every single year, every single month that you contribute to that 401k. An investment firm is making money because they're controlling what your money is doing. And number three, who it actually benefits is the government. So I highly recommend reading a book called The Power of Zero. I forget his first name. His last name is McKnight. It's talking about getting into a 0% tax bracket in retirement. But a big thing he says in there, as your money grows, so does the government's share. Since they are partners in this, they can increase their share at any time, meaning they can increase taxes. They can go in and they can create fees and they can up the taxes if your tax bracket, because we all know taxes change every time we have a new president. Essentially, the taxes end up changing some way or somehow. So if you're not paying taxes now and you defer to pay them later, not only are you paying your taxes on that money, but you're also paying your employer's taxes because they got a tax break on the money they put in there. But if you are fortunate enough to be able to keep their money, now you have to pay the taxes on their money, which that's not fair. That's bogus. And now this goes into the employer contribution. Okay, so yes, and a lot of employers will contribute to your 401k. That's great. That's awesome. That's 100% return on a certain amount of money that you put in there. You're essentially doubling your money getting put into this 401k. It's typically up to a certain dollar amount. It seems pretty average that they'll put in $3,000 a year as long as you put in $3,000 a year, or they'll do a certain percentage. The common number that I've seen is about 3%. Whether they do 100% up to 3%, meaning if you put up 3% of your salary or your paycheck into these 401ks, they will put 3% and they'll match. Or what I had at the company I worked for before, they would match up to 50% they match 50% up to 6%, meaning as long as I put in 6%, they would match me to 3. I guess I worded that wrong. They would match me 50% up to 3%. So if I put 6% in to fully take advantage of that contribution, they would give me 3%. Okay. But with this, I want to talk about the vesting. So a big part of what I've kind of seen talking to my friends and everything is they never bring up the vesting process. So the vesting is the process of getting rights to that employer contribution. Okay. So typically you get a certain percentage after you've worked there for a certain amount of years. Or so there's kind of 3 different ways. You get you're 100% vested from day one, meaning you have the rights to the employer contribution day one. Very rare. Sometimes that's more like startups and things to get a recruiting aspect of it. Number 2 is a cliff vesting, meaning, hey, you come work for me. Hey, Mary, you come work for me for 6 years. after 6 years, you will overnight have 100% of the, you would have 100% rights to the money that I've put into your 401k. But then the one that I've seen that's most popular is it's kind of staged. I think it's called staged vesting. Meaning, here's the example. So you will get 20% of what the employer put in after working 3 years. Okay. So if you quit at year 3 or after, you automatically get 20% of what that employer put into it. And then it goes up more. So let's say 5 years, you get 40%, 7 years, you get 60%. And then after 10 years of your time into a company, they give you 100%. Now that fluctuates from company to company, depending on whether they do longer staging, they do a longer cliff, or they do 100% right up front, which is great. It's all different. So why I talk about the vesting part? So a big trend now, actually I got the statistic from somebody that's a recruiter at a big name printing company. It's every 2 to 4 years, pretty much corporate America wide, people are leaving to go get a promotion from a different company. So meaning I'm going to use a company I used to work for, Charter. So I worked for Charter for say 2 years, and then AT&T comes in, because they're also in the same industry, and says, hey, Tyler, you come work for us, we'll bump up your pay and a promotion. Boom. I'm going to go because I'm getting more money and I'm getting that promotion. Now, I didn't hit my vesting percentage at all. Therefore, whatever the company put into that, into my retirement program, I get zero of it. I get none of it. Okay. The only way I get 100% of the money they were putting into that account is if I work 10, 15, 20 years. So it all depends on the company that you work for. A lot of people nowadays entering the workforce, pretty much between the ages of 20 to 30, our age range, they're jumping company to company to get those pay raises and those promotions. That's just how it works. Very few people do you see stay at one company for 20, 30, 40 years. You don't see that very often. Even at the executive levels, you're seeing executives come in and move and bounce around and move because they get that promotion or they get a better benefit from a different company. So of course they're going to move because it makes sense. But if you're not staying there long enough, you're not going to get the money that your company said they were giving to you. Okay, and that's kind of the big part I want to hit on that. Next, a big thing that people don't know is that you can actually lose, you could lose all your money in the 401k. You could completely lose all of it. It probably won't happen, but you can lose money in your 401k. You have no guarantees. Okay, you're not guaranteed to make money. You're not guaranteed to lose money either, and you can get unlimited gains. Yes, that's great, but if the market does bad, if anybody actually looks at the market when it goes down, you just lost money in your 401k. That's your retirement plan. A lot of people don't. I've seen this too. A lot of people aren't looking at it. Okay, they say, oh, well, it's a long-term investment. Well, yeah, of course, because you have to wait 30, 40 years to retire. Yeah, of course it's long-term. But overall, the average every year for the past 20 years has only been 5%. That's not much. Even with what your employer's putting in. That's not very much. Ask the people of 2018, or not 2018, 2008, and even of 2000. Those were, in my lifetime, yeah, I was pretty young when those happened, but now I can look back and I see how drastic of a drop the market's made, and people lost everything. They lost, in 2008, people lost about 40% of their money that was in their retirement. If they were going to retire in the next year or two, they weren't able to. They had to keep working. And the market didn't recover and get back to the same level for another 6 years. 6 years until people were back at the same level that they started in 2007. 6 years. 6 years just to break even. That, to me, that's ridiculous. Another part here is mutual funds. Like, okay, those can be a good vehicle, but it's small. Okay. 94% of mutual funds never beat the market. So if the market on average is doing barely over 5%, Your mutual funds, there's only 6% of mutual funds that do as good or better. Like, good luck choosing the right mutual fund out of the 180,000 mutual funds that are out there, I believe. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not into the market and investing. Everything I'm telling you, you can find online. You can read on books. I'm just condensing it for you into a video so that you can learn it. Next, we're going to jump into the fees. So, also something else people don't know is the amount of fees coming out of your 401k. All right. The average amount of fees, annual fees, is 3.1 to 4.6%. Well, you say, hey, Tyler, that doesn't sound like much. That's not that big. That's not a big deal. Yes. Over the long-term investment, those numbers are huge and they add up very, very quickly. Okay. In the fine print, okay, there can be more than 17 fees stacked all together. I can't even think of 17 reasons why anybody else would have control of my money and be able to take something from it. I don't know. I don't understand. Some of those fees can be your revenue sharing, expense ratio, wrap fees, soft dollar costs, transaction costs, account charges, redemption fees, deferred sales charge. I've heard of one or two of those, but what could be the other 17, 20 other ones? Like, who and why? Nobody's going to tell you because they keep those secret in the fine print. They're disclosed, but in a stack of paper this big. Nobody wants to read that much, okay? And the difference, like even the smallest amount of percentage can make a huge difference in your long run. The amount of fees coming out, just the amount of fees coming out, not the amount being invested, the amount of fees coming out can make a huge difference, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in your retirement. It can make a huge difference just by lowering your fees. Can make all the difference in the world. And then another thing that I wanted to touch on is that you can't touch your money without penalties until the age of 59 and a half. So at 30 years old, you have a good chunk of change in there and you want to use that to buy a house or buy a new car or start a business. No way. You can't do it, or else you're going to lose a huge chunk of money. I'm going to throw out some percentages there, and these are based on California's numbers, okay? The research I did gave me numbers from California. I live in Arizona, so they're probably going to be a little bit different, and they differ state to state. So say you want to take out some money from your 401k. First and foremost, that's going to be considered income tax. Okay, you're going to have to pay your income taxes because now you're bringing in another income on top of what you're already bringing in per year at your job. So you have to pay a federal tax, which is about 28%. That's a huge chunk already gone of your money right off the top before it even goes into your pocket. Number two, you have to pay a state tax. Okay, and that also again depends on your state. In California, it's 9.6%. That's almost another 10% of your money gone right off the top. Okay, and then you have a penalty. Okay, because you weren't supposed to touch that money because that's the rules to a 401k. Federal penalty of 10%. Another 10% of your money gone just like that because they can. And then depending on your state, you might have another state penalty, which in California is about 3%. Okay, that right there adds up on what? About 50% of your money already gone. Already gone. So you take $100,000 out, you have less than $50,000 to put in your pocket to go on vacation, to buy a new house, to buy a new car, to do whatever you want with it because it's your money. Turns out it's not. It's the government's money and the investment firm's money, and you only get a part of it. So, and by taking this money out, so say you're making $50,000, you take out $100,000. Now you just increased your money from that $50,000 salary you had to $150,000. So now you just moved up in the tax bracket. So now you got to pay even more taxes on your regular income. is ridiculous. And there's ways that you don't have to do any of this, man. And just the education, man. People don't know this stuff. And then speaking of taxes, so in the financial world, there's two things we talk about. You can tax the seed or you can tax the harvest. Okay. Taxing the seed is you pay a little bit up front, and then you take whatever's left of that money, you put into another account, and it grows and grows and grows, and that's what you get. You don't have to pay that money. On a 401k, they say, hey, we'll let you put the full amount in now, and as it grows and grows and grows, we'll take the taxes out later. Does it make sense to pay a little bit now, or have Uncle Sam come in when it's this big and scoop right off the top and take 30% of your money right off the top? To me, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so those are the big parts I wanted to hit on. Share this with your friends, your family. The people that are most important to you are the people that need to know this. Okay, you can get in contact with me. Get in contact with anybody else that works at our firm. If you go to your financial advisor and ask them all these questions, they're going to probably tell you I'm a liar, I'm not trustworthy. That's fine. If you want to listen to him, go ahead. I'm just telling you the things that you can find and research online about your 401k. Go to your employer, go to your HR department, ask them. They won't know any of this stuff. They're not going to know anything. You can talk to me. There's other vehicles out there that we can get past and away from a lot of these issues with the 401k. Okay? Just all you have to do is ask. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I want to educate you. I want you to learn. I want you to know what's out there in the education stuff. So I'll educate you and I'll let you make the decision. Okay? Again, thanks for watching. Share with your friends, with your family, the people that mean the most to you, because there's a crisis in America right now, and all we're trying to do is educate. We want people to learn. We want people to know. So again, thank you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, everybody.